All right, everyone, welcome back to the Paladins World Championship, and we apologize for the extended delay there. You know, as you can imagine, everyone here has, kind of just been churning and burning throughout the day. Kind of need a little bit of a break here as we've been going on for over 12 hours now. You know, for a lot of the staff here, everyone here has been coming in super early, so just got to get that little bit of a break. Had to set up the players on the stage as well, but we are all set and ready to go for our final matchup of the day. It's going to be China Dream going up against Natus Vincere, Na'Vi, and I'm joined by Metapusher and, of course, Goremizer. This is going to be an exciting game because we finally get to see the best of the best from China take the stage here against one of Europe's finest.
I'm absolutely hoping so. If China Dream lives up to the hype that's been traveling around the Cobb Energy Center, then these guys are going to be absolutely astounding.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. And what about for you?
I mean, this was the matchup I think I've been looking forward to most. Like, just waiting to see China Dream play. I didn't really care about who they were playing. I just wanted to see them in game. I want to know if there's like different metas coming in, if they have like very specific picks that to gravitate towards, or in the long run, if it's another kind of case where they can just play whatever. And that's one of the strengths of like the great teams, is being able to adapt on the fly. I want to see how they can handle some of the other teams we've seen like Na'Vi a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll get to the roster and talk about them in a sec. For now, though, let's take a look at the bracket. Kind of get up to date here. In case you guys, just joining us, which would be crazy because we've been live for so long, so you should have been here the entire time. First and foremost, we had Fnatic go up against G2 Esports. A great game that saw G2, North America's hope, go in to the next round of this competition. Meanwhile, Fnatic will go down to face off against Entity Gaming, who were actually defeated 2-0 by Na'Vi. Now Na'Vi's in this position against China Dream, one of the top seeds coming out of that region. And the loser of this game will face off against the Brazilian Space Station Gaming, which either way, we're in for a treat with that one, because Space Station Gaming, I don't know, they're just insane based off of what we saw yesterday.
I'm not sure there's like a winning scenario. Like, you win, you have to go up against G2. You lose, you have to go up against Space Station. Like, either one's going to be a difficult match. Guess if you win, you have like that luxury of the double elimination playing into your favor.
You have that, that
it's
first.
A little frightening.
You have that first loss working for you there. So anyway, I do agree on that one without a doubt. But let's talk about this China Dream roster. We do have the profile of the team, so we can introduce them to you guys. We got Popey, Mumo, UFO, right? UFO.
Yes.
Just want to make sure I'm saying that right. Guagua and Kami. And you're going to notice something interesting here, that these players are sporting some different jerseys. That's because you have members of JC and members of QG coming together to form what is the China Dream. A fitting name. I give them credit for that one. +1 for creativity. Meta, what's your thoughts on this team?
I'm excited to see them play. When you bring two teams of such a high caliber like this, I mean, we haven't seen much from JC in international play, but we saw an astounding performance from QG at DreamHack Valencia. And the fact that JC has been dominating QG in their home region, their qualifiers, all we can expect is great things from them. You know, they left some really good players from home. HR24 and Luohan are both really astounding players, but the guys they pick up from QG are no joke.
Yeah, it's almost as if it was a slight upgrade, and for QG, and this was a combination of visa issues that unfortunately led to this situation. But like, I mean, come on, you're basically being gifted this potential God squad here, and we're hyping them up quite a bit. But like, this has been what I've heard around the venue here.
Yeah.
These are the rumors.
I've seen them play, or not them, but I've seen QG play. I got to see JC play up against QG, and of course them being able to come out in first was really strong. And then I've just heard that they are going to be a phenomenal team from some of the players, people just around. It's looking like, on paper, it's perfect for them. It is a great scenario to be in, to be able to come into this. Not necessarily the best time to have to go up against Na'Vi. It's like maybe nice to have a little bit of another warm-up before you have to go as hard as you're going to have to go here. But you at least know you're going up against someone who's going to be experienced. This is either going to be a warm-up to go against G2 or to Space Station, no matter where they end up.
And also, they just have some dope sweaters.
Oh, yeah.
I really want
comfy.
those sweaters. If anyone from the China Dream team is like listening, the support staff, Golden Boy would like a sweater. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on. Across the stage, their opponents. a name that you guys are very familiar with. Natus Vincere, Na'Vi, very famed team. And let's just go ahead and meet Na'Vi.
Natus Vincere. Unbelievable. Mutu. Spunkki. Creative. Faenex.
Na'Vi, and we saw them yesterday go up against Entity, and they made quick work of those boys. But now they're here going up against China Dream. This is a challenge. I mean, who wants to discuss Na'Vi first? Dealer's choice here.
Yeah.
All right, go
I'm
ahead,
excited
Matt.
to see this
Go
particular
ahead.
matchup because we've heard a lot about the flexibility of the JC and the QG China Dream roster, and we get to see them against an incredibly flexible team in Na'Vi. We see them play really interesting things. They run triple tank sometimes. They run very off-meta damage picks. Willow, Pip, Buck. I mean, Buck's not off-meta, but they run him on weird people sometimes. And we saw a Tyra yesterday on Faenex. There's a lot of flexibility for this team. And, I think they're really prepared. Faenex is one of the best minds in Paladins that I know, and he's going to have a lot of strategies prepared for these guys.
I think the best thing I just wrote down, Faenex is the face, the voice, the drafter. Like, he is the guy for Na'Vi. It was one of the things we actually got to talk about during the last LAN was the fact that he brings out their comms. They were really a little bit quieter. They didn't have as great communication between the team. They weren't performing as well. And they said that bringing him in, having him there actually helps bring out the communication. Everyone starts talking. They start actually acting as a unit. And having him just kind of as that front man really, really brings the team up to that next level.
What are some of the accolades of this Na'Vi team for viewers who may not have seen this squad before?
They placed third in the regular season of the PPL, and they were the first place in the Paladins World Championship qualifiers. After Virtus Pro and G2 were removed from that pool from the PPL Fall Finals. So they're coming in hot. They came off a really strong final set against Fnatic, a 4-0. Very strong. And Mutu, man, this guy, I talk about him all the time, but he's a silent assassin. That's the best way I can describe him. He's the quietest dude you'll ever meet, but his gameplay speaks louder than anything.
It's one of those things, he's a little bit newer overall, but, I mean, he's got the Mutu flick. Like, he's already got a move named after him, which just shows you where the player can stand. And it's one of those things I expect to see maybe some Androxus come out from him because that's one of the ones, I mean, that's what got it coming out. But just knowing that he has that prowess, he's really good at aiming, and being able to have that kind of impact really early on steps him up, I think, to that next level.
I was playing Battlegrounds last night with Mutu and Faenex on my team, and we were checking out the champion roles, and Andro popped up, and Faenex looked at me and he goes, "Easy win."
Did you win?
No.
Okay, well, you see, now, I don't know if it's
It
that
wasn't
easy.
our fault. We had a random fourth player.
Oh, okay. Blame.
It's
blame.
always
Yeah.
the random.
Okay.
He
blame
knows
him.
who he is too, so
Oh, you're
some,
all-
some little slight shots.
You're awful. You're awful. Okay, so I think I just got word that the bands are ready to go.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and bring those up when we get a chance to see what China Honor and what Na'Vi went for. So Na'Vi removes Fish Market, and China Dream, I said Honor. My bad, guys. China Dream bans Timber Mill.
Interesting. I mean, Na'Vi has from what I've heard and the rumor, I haven't heard it recently, but at the PPL final LAN, there was rumors that Na'Vi had a lot of strategies on Timber Mill. So I wonder if that's a coincidence or if, there maybe been some leaks and some stuff. But the Fish Market, man, I like it. Fish Market is just a map where weird things kind of thrive, and there have been rumors of some Chinese strategies on that map with some very off-meta champs like Lex that maybe Na'Vi just doesn't want to mess with.
I always kind of hate seeing Timber Mill get banned out because, like, I love going there just because I feel like it's not a map that we get to venture to often, and I like seeing the different strategies the team take in their approach. But it's just one of those things that it is in that line of players don't want to practice it as much. It's not as familiar, and when it comes down to it, some players just don't want to deal with it either because they don't like snipers, they don't like the way they have to draft for it. It just doesn't fit their play style. But I would love to be able to go there a little bit more often.
It's one of those maps that everybody has pocket strats for, and you never want to go to them on something that they're so prepared for.
And if I'm correct, China Dream does have the first map
They
pick
do. They
here.
are the higher seed.
So they go with Jaguar Falls for their first map. Have we seen Jaguar Falls first?
We have.
Yeah, we have.
Wait, first pick?
Not first.
No.
Not, at least not this event.
No, but this is a very standard map for Paladins. It's one of the maps that, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Paladins in like the year, Jaguar Falls banned in the year and a half I've been playing Paladins. So, I mean, all these teams are very practiced on it. It's one of the oldest maps in the game.
It's just, I mean, it's symmetrical. It's got everything going for it. Everything's very smooth. There's some key strategies that can actually work really well on this map. There's some champions I actually really like seeing, just being able to like use the balconies around the point, or of course using the wall with a nice ledge to drop people off of if you get in a good advantage. And we've actually seen Androxus every now and then kind of skirt around the edge there. A couple dashes can keep him alive over that. So there's a few champions that I think are really, really strong through here.
This is actually the map where the specific famous Mutu flick happened. So the Andro could definitely come out.
All right.
I would
well,
be happy with it.
Bomb King is going to go away. See what the dream goes for here. And that's going to be Buck. So
Pretty standard.
standard bans across the board. I don't really see anything wrong here. You want to get rid of that Buck because of the damage he outputs. It's just absurd.
And Navi can play it on so many different roles. It's such a flex pick for them that you don't want to give it up early. But they are going to give up the Koa, which is, I mean, scary. The hook is just so strong. The ability to displace your opponents, pull them in, and just set up your teammates is just so powerful.
And we've seen it a few times. When Makoa does come through, sometimes it's just, okay, he's going to be the hook machine. But yesterday, I believe, we got to see it on Bright Marsh where it was the setup. Like, that was what won the game overall.
We
was
haven't
just
seen
you bring
Makoa
them in.
for 2 games, by the way.
And you shoot him. You just dump all the damage in. Like, you know where they're going. You know he's going to be able to drop them. And it's another, again, map advantage if you can kind of get on the side. If you are on the side, you can drop them off the edge if they don't have any dashes.
I like
games.
this. Go ahead.
No Makoa. Just throwing it out there. So we're going to get to see some Makoa here, which is kind of scary.
I like the
Agree.
Torvald pickup here for Navi, also the Talus, but just to talk of the Torvald, it's good against the Makoa because when that Koa hooks a teammate in, if you have a Torvald shield there to protect them, they're probably going to live, and they're probably going to have a big old damage to be thrown back in his face. It can be kind of counterintuitive to pull somebody into you and then they blast you right in the face.
And I always like seeing Talus grouped up with the Torvald, just because it's that extra little bit of security. He doesn't necessarily need it. We've seen a ton of Talus lately that has not needed that extra bit of saving. But just knowing you have that security, knowing you can get a little bit more aggressive, it at least allows your flanker to be a little bit more at peace, knowing that you have a front line looking after them.
And wow, we are completely missing on some really insane picks. China Dream's going to pick up the Lex and the Grok, and Navi's going to finish off their draft with a Damba and a Zen. And a Cassie, too. This is something that nobody here expected to see Cassie played. First Cassie. It's insane. I mean, I don't think Cassie's that good, so China Dream's going to have to show me something.
Ooh, bold statement.
Cassie, I think it was best when La Tigress, I asked her about it, and she said Cassie's like the prom queen that no one can forget about. Like, she is everyone's favorite. Like, you want to go back to Cassie, even when she has like negative changes. Everyone's like, I want to figure out how to make Cassie work again.
It's going to be some interesting play here with the Lex and the Cassie having to work together. You also have Genos, and Genos is going to also be working a little bit more on the heels, I would imagine. But I did get word that we are ready to go into the action. So let's jump into our final matchup of the day. China Dream versus Navi. Let's send it over to Rain Day and Shift.
Oh boy, thanks Golden Boy. It is one for the ages here. A Cassie pick at the Paladins World Championship. That is a first, and certainly unexpected for us, as Golden Boy mentioned. My name's Evan Rayner. Rain Day, you guys know me as, and Alan Donofrio. I hold Shift. Last game of the day. It's been a long one, but wow, this should be a good one.
This is going to be the hype one. I mean, the Europeans are talking about how Navi might just be the best team in Europe. The Oceanic and SEA guys are talking about how China is going to blow everybody away. This is we'll say the myth-based powerhouses coming up. We'll see where the rumors do in fact lie here on Jaguar Falls.
And that's the big one. What will happen? Poppy is playing the Cassie. And we don't even know what legendary he's running at this point, but we will find that out soon as we see the play style here. Dodge rolls back to the left side, hits one shot. First blood for Faenex already onto Guagua, and that's a good start for Natus Vincere.
Guagua was a huge impact damage dealer back in Valencia, and this is not going the way of China Dream so far, as you can see how controlled Unbelievable is able to keep his team here. That protective shield is absolutely paying dividends. They've got 48% and counting up. Faenex able to find more.
Incredible stuff here. Spunkki hitting on the point. That's 66% and counting on the objective. Now China Dream have lost to Guagua. Does find a kill on the creatives, though, so this could change things for them. But it's going to be very, very close if they're going to be able to get back onto this. I don't think so. Pause coming out from UFO, and it does look like they will take a little bit of a break here. But Navi definitely had the start of this game.
Yeah, and regardless of what's going on, the fact of the matter is you have a Makoa. Anytime you can get a pull and capitalize on that kill, it's already spelling the first letters of disaster for you in that team fight, especially with no ultimates there too. That's the one big thing that we see a lot. And to be honest, we talk a lot about how Virtus Pro is really good with their ultimates. I would say out of all the teams that are here, Navi's probably the best to play without their ultimates. They're really good at knowing how to utilize the core mechanics of the kit of each different champion in their comps, and it's really, really fun to watch.
Well, that's the thing, too. We know a lot about Navi. As we mentioned on the desk, they were the 3rd place in the PPL. They did extremely well in the Paladins World Championship qualifiers, and now they find themselves here. But the kind of thing that has always been a part of their lore is getting that 3rd place spot. They haven't been able to be the #1. So hearing those things, even from the players, that Navi are #1 here is unusual. It's not something that we would expect.
Very much so. And it's weird when you look at Navi and their performance in the fall finals, because it's like, well, they didn't make it far at all into the actual PPL qualifier finals. But the fact of the matter was they lost their first 3 maps and then went through the wild card bracket only losing a single map. They were on fire the entire 3rd and 4th day of that LAN. And it just kind of goes to show that once you get pushed a little bit, they're going to shove back even harder.
And now with China Dream kind of setting the stage, we didn't get a chance to take a look at the legendaries really, but Poppy running that Cassie, it's such an interesting pick. I mean, can we even delve into what he's looking for with that, especially with the Lex in tandem? I mean, gotta say this is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we saw, of course, Exaction kind of fall out of favor, and a lot of people were playing around with different impulse builds where that blast shot can deal not only area damage, but bring you back health and also reduce the cooldown. So those were like a lot of Cassie players kind of found her strength. But, you know, on the same point, there were a couple of people out there playing around with big game, you know, getting that disengage arrow and then a ton of massive damage consecutively after you hit that same target that you disengage. So it would be really interesting to see regardless, you know, Cassie just kind of come back into life. But this is what I think, expect the unexpected from China. We saw it in Valencia.
It always happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, none of us are going to be colored surprised here.
No. One of my favorite lines, my dad always says, color me enthusiasm. And I don't think we will be surprised. Enthused, definitely a possibility. As you can see behind us, it's very, very limited here in terms of the amount of people still at the event because it is so late from where we are. But it is really about to get started. It's almost like the beginning here because China Dream have their first showcase. Creatives, though, finds Guagua. Poppy forced to disengage back, and Natus Vincere will take the first objective on Jaguar Falls.
Just a little stretched out was Guagua. Couldn't quite get the slide to come back towards his teammates. Like you saw Poppy able to come right back, and he's going to hold the secret. Actually going to charge into Zin, but Creatives has the counter up. Not enough, though, to get the damage secured. He will fall. That's a big kill for China Dream on defense.
Good stuff there, and Faenex continuing to apply pressure. He's been pretty unstoppable force for them in the front line of Navi. He's found 2. Will it be 3? Faenex trying to start things off strong against China. Nice hook out of the healing totem, but UFO finds the kill right afterwards and punishes the turtle.
Yeah, and that's his really good play. Again, Grok able to dance around, toggle those cooldowns, get the totem down, able to ghost walk through, and UFO looking really solid. But Poppy's, again, getting aggressive with these dodge rolls. Guagua, though, not finding the same kind of success so far. He's fallen a lot more often than he probably needs to be.
Still a lot of kiting potential. You saw the Lex almost got around, almost got out of that with the loop-de-loop. And so if he can contain, if he can have some pressure going alongside him while he's doing that, it could be very difficult to track him down. Nice Red Serpent through time and space as well into a corridor, slithered out on the last side of Navi. And so China Dream trying to make things happen, but so far haven't found results here. Both the defense has stalled.
The spike did come out for Creatives, but not really finding much as it's just a trade back and forth. But Unbelievable is able to turn the tides a little bit more in Natus Vincere's favor. Nice pull from Faenex. That's going to be once again on Lex. Guagua has been struggling and been getting pulled. He's been getting pushed around, and he's not, again, found the damage he needs to try to push this turtle off the point.
Faenex has so many killing blows right now, probably leading the game by a large margin, setting so much up from Makoa. This is a champion that often isn't really in that first pick, first ban at this point in the meta, but he could easily be a first pick, first ban in terms of his effectiveness in game.
Spunkki able to find a kill onto his counterpart support. UFO does fall. Guagua finally getting kills now, but is falling low. Creatives in that billow. We'll try to run on back and meet this with Fernando kind of lance to sword and see who decides to take that one through. But the rest of Navi just really isn't there, and you see Faenex falling. Creatives not able to stand up to it, and it's going to be Meldamba staggered away. Spunkki does drop.
Very nice flick shot there from Poppy, trying to make a name of his own about the flick champion here on Jaguar Falls. But of course, Mutu's still on the other side. He's got something to say about that. 6 seconds left. Don't know if Navi can touch. If they can, it would be a limited one, a pretty desperate one. It may just be a defense successful, but overtime here takes away And the Billow activated from Zen. They're going for it, but I don't know if they're going to get it.
Oh, Kami finding 2 kills. Again, he was a big damage dealer, playing a lot of Grog back in Valencia, now taking over the Fire Lance of Fernando and doing a very successful job establishing that front line. Looking calm, looking controlled, and since the pause, China Dream really has kind of come back together and looking really solid, not making the same mistakes, but this is tough. I mean, Faenex is just hitting all of these mid to long range hooks, and it's absolutely devastating. No one from China Dream's able to really get right back or push up to help Peel. He's been unstoppable so far.
It looks like Cassie will be running Impulse. And so she's getting that extra blast shot damage, 350, reducing the cooldown. Heroism from Guagua, and that's what Moonchopper was talking about when we saw that earlier today. Really seems to be the play here on Jaguar Falls.
It just, when you think about it, you really sit down and think about how much crowd control is big. When you have a Dread Serpent, you have, King Bomb, Seismic Crash, all of these ultimates and even just abilities. If you could slide right through it and still be pretty much damage immune, that's huge, and that's why a lot of people, I think, are finding it in their favor.
Dismounts JC. Poppy ends up finding one shot, backs it away. Another dodge roll available. Here's a through time and space. Mumo can't find the kill quite yet, but he sets Poppy up for one. Goes into the ultimate, and now he's got 30% movement speed, but Creatives is in the back line, aggressing onto the support, but Poppy finds 2. Cassie showing up big, but Na'Vi capitalize on the spread out team of China Dream.
If Poppy can get out here, though, that would be really big. Not able to do so. This is actually huge for Na'Vi. They have the point in their control, and they have a big stagger on what seems to be the big carry for damage-wise from China Dream.
Yeah, and Creatives really was the reason that didn't work for China Dream, because Na'Vi had him in the back line, and he pincered, rotated all the way around, and now he's on a 4 streak, and he's just so hard to take down, and Heroism's not going to help you with the Makoa hook right there, and Spunkki following up. Objective captured by Na'Vi.
Well, it seemed to be a miscommunication there. Again, Guagua was all out by himself. Faenex is going off right now, finding 2, looking for a triple kill. He's got 1 more left in the chamber. Not going to need it. Those Creatives capitalizes on what would have been an incredible triple kill.
What I'm seeing from Na'Vi is just great synergy between these guys. One Makoa hook turns into an instant kill. Spunkki has a stun ready to follow up with Maldamba. Faenex is on point with these finishing blows, and there's a spike from Zen, and he makes sure that Kami feels the heat. Ancient Rage here from Faenex as well into the Tempest from Grok. He cancels, says, I can't go away from this turtle fast enough, but Creatives finds the triple kill in the engagement, and Na'Vi might be able to get some ground on this push.
It's just so frustrating. He goes in, gets a couple kills, smolders out, swirls right back in, gets a couple more kills. It's just so hard to deal with, and Creatives is absolutely putting on a clinic here on Zen. They still have 1 minute and 38 seconds to push. The payload is starting to round that last corner as it makes its final approach.
They've made some serious headway, and this is not the same type of defense China Dream put up last time around. So maybe Na'Vi have gotten going. Maybe China Dream have somehow made too many mistakes here, or maybe Faenex just keeps hitting these final shots. Either way, Poppy showing up yet again. This is his 2nd moment where he's found a double kill. Looking to make it a 3rd, but Creatives, Spunkki, an unbelievable answer back.
And this is looking solid. There's just no numbers here for China Dream, even with the respawn proximity. It's just up to Grok, but he gets taken down. UFO only trades out 1. It's just not enough. Na'Vi go up now 2 points, 3-1. And again, you take a look at the kill streak from Creatives. He's 9-4-11, 14 straight.
This is just good work from Creatives on the Zen, last picked as well. Yeah. And not something that it seems China Dream were really prepared to deal with, at least in this Jaguar Falls setting, or have an answer for quite yet. Poppy's had moments, but those moments have been few and far between as far as Creatives' continued dominance throughout this one.
And it's funny we see him now on the Zen, because he was kind of like the unspoken hero of a lot of teams before the PPL came up. You know, a lot of people would talk about, Creatives, like this guy needs to be looked at, but he kind of was like the second damage dealer. He would have these big clutch moments, but he wasn't necessarily always topping the damage charts. This is exactly, I think, what you're looking at. A nimble 3 pickup, so he's going to be moving like lightning on and off the mount, and that's going to make him even harder to deal with in the backlines.
China Dream this time, Sin Guagua by himself gets hooked though, and they finish him off just like that. And this man's running a defensive legendary. You'd never know it by how fast he goes down. Smolder, and is able to get away from the through time and space coming through from Genos, but this is all Na'Vi. This looks like it could be an easy game 1 for them.
Yeah, it sure looks that way. And again, you look at Guagua, who's just, again, out of position. He's trying to pull like the same thing we saw Bugsy doing on Buck earlier, but it's just not really coming to fruition. He needs to get with his team. You're down in items, you're down on the scoreboard. Poppy's doing everything he can, but even the scout isn't enough to keep him through this, as Mutu's able to true power right into his face, and this is looking good here, and that's going to do it. Na'Vi for free on the last point. They take that one 4-1.
Na'Vi for free as they grab the first game here in this best of 5 set. They will have a couple more to go, and if anything, if this set is anything like tonight, there's plenty of time.
Without a doubt.
Plenty of time.
Starting off the day with that PS4 final, I mean,
Oh boy.
that was, my goodness, the game were so close, and we kind of expected the opposite. We
Yep.
seemed like that the console games were going to go quickly. The
Yep.
PC games would be tight. It's a total flip-flop. Maybe we should just stop doing predictions
I
altogether.
think we just stop saying
let
anything
the games
except
happen.
exactly what's happening. Like cool shades.
Yeah.
I like
Beautiful.
those glasses, and I might need a pair as well. A lot of bright lights for Hours Creatives. He's the one under the spotlight this time around. His Zen was really unstoppable, but Spunkki and Unbelievable, they're forming that duo that was in the finals of last year. One of the, I don't know, the Dynamic 10 who have kind of made their mark on Paladins history, so to speak, split up amongst the 4 top European teams. Those are the Na'Vi representatives, and they seem to be off to a great start.
And on the flip side, you look at the two of the big boys from QG back in Valencia. You've got Guagua and Kami here. They were leading the damage charts, even though
Yeah.
a lot of the stories were following Shasha and his Buck gameplay, kind of bringing this pick out of nowhere. It was Guagua on characters like Buck as well, but also Bomb King able to move his way through. Kami on characters like Grok. We're just not quite seeing that same level of performance as of yet. Again,
Yeah.
This is their first time getting on the stage. It's been a long couple of days for them since
Well-
they've been here, and even today they've been sitting and watching for literally all day.
I mean, Golden Boy said it. It's 12 hours.
Yeah.
You're sitting here waiting, watching. Faenex told me that, his team went and actually had a nap in the middle of the day. They went back to the hotel, had a nap, and Faenex stayed, and he said, you know what, now looking at 10 o'clock here, I probably should have gone, but he's just going to have to power through. So part of it is physical. Part of it is waking up. Part of it is staying alert, and it's not always easy.
And the same point, like we do here, we kind of banter through all the things that are happening with drafts and
Yeah.
what's being successful. The players are doing that probably tenfold more. They're really looking into it. So you got to think of the mental stress that brings too. Like, well, we were going to come into this event with this setup, but no one's really playing it, or it's not working all that well. That second guessing can really be quite toxic to your gameplay mentality as you were setting up previous to the event.
And it's just mentally taxing. I mean, you may not be out on stage physically, but your brain is.
Yeah.
Your brain is thinking about what you do in that moment, what you draft, and why you would draft it that way, and kind of coming up with scenarios. And that can sometimes be the bane of results, overthinking. And so right now, I think these guys just need to get out there and play. And that's what they're doing. So far, China Dream with an interesting Cassie pick. How do you think that fared?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is it worked, as far as, being able to convert onto kills. The thing that was really interesting with Cassie, and we saw this happen a couple times from Poppy, there was a 1v1 happening. He would dodge roll into it, get a couple of shots, try to find a reset as much as possible, and then dodge roll right back out. It's a lot of the similar gameplay we see from characters like Buck, like Eevee. I think the question mark, and maybe as we see them possibly play it more, is does Cassie do those things better than those champions? Does the Scout bring a lot of extra value that helps teams really convert onto moments where their positioning is superior to their opponents? There's a lot of really big question marks, and I think as we start to see this pick potentially come out more and more, we'll kind of get a feel for the impact that, Poppy had in this first game.
I guess it's interesting also looking at it is that you didn't see much really because they picked Cassie.
Yeah.
This is just a champion that it'd be almost the same thing as I'm trying to think of a good example right now, but my mind has gone to Jelly. But at the end of the day, just a champion totally unrelated to the meta. Nobody plays, and then just playing it. You don't really see what that team can do if that's a Buck instead. You don't know how they can draft in this given meta that all the pros use with the accepted champions of a higher tier. And so if they do make an adjustment back to that and they kind of get off the let's be super different with this Cassie pick, maybe they do take that game over
Yeah.
Na'Vi. Maybe that's enough of a difference.
Yeah, it's a very strong point, and these are the things that as we continue to see how China Dream does morph and adapt their draft, I think we'll start to get a clear picture of what the general, the greater puzzle's supposed to look like.
Right.
What is that Thomas Kincaid supposed to look like before you start putting it together? And that's the big thing that I think I'm most excited for. We, of course, saw what we imagined was going to be nothing but craziness from QG. It ended up just being, it's just the Torvald and the Buck that was going well. So maybe there's something to do with this Cassie that they'll continue to stick with. But until then, we just have to move on to map 2 to find out.
And again, can't take anything away from Na'Vi, who played excellently, and Creatives had a star-studded performance. Bright Marsh will be map 2 as we head into the picks and bans very shortly here. China Dream trying to keep the dream alive. They've lost a couple players here that were originally on the roster that had extremely high status amongst the international competition. And they're using 2 of the more infamous Chinese players from DreamHack Valencia.
And more trying to make their name here too. I
Exactly.
mean, that's the fun thing about having these regions that we don't get a chance to see a lot of. We just hear whispers of. We see screenshots of results. This is the first time we really get to really dig in and dissect what they're doing. You know, where is China at as a full level? Of course, they had the #2 spot in Valencia. You know, where does that really match up? And we heard, of course, that QG was getting, you know, pretty much beaten up by JC.
Yeah.
So it really kind of put, I think, in a lot of our minds that this China Dream Team might just be the best iteration of Paladins competitive gaming, but so far finding a little bit of resilience here against Na'Vi.
Well, it's about to be picks and bans for those of you eagerly awaiting at home. I know, I can't wait to see what they do. Curious about where this Cassie falls or does not fall here on Bright Marsh. I wouldn't expect it personally. But Na'Vi and China Dream, this is a matchup no one could really guess the outcome of on either side, and I'm sure the players were probably in a similar boat here. Bomb King Buck banned out. Na'Vi takes the Makoa first for Faenex, and that's a pretty good choice, Alan. He had an excellent game last one with that one.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of a Groundhog's Day with this draft so far. Same first two bans. Makoa looking to be the same first pick for Na'Vi once again, and we talk about again. Golden Boy had mentioned we haven't seen Makoa in a hot while, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
He can absolutely turn everything against you when you think things are going well. One person gets pulled out of position, and Faenex has showed that he is just near the top of the level, if not at the highest, when it comes to getting those dredge anchors to connect.
And you know, some teams we've seen like to ban the Makoa and leave the Buck open, and then be able to have different options. And sometimes they don't ban the Buck, they leave Makoa and Buck open, and we see different champions played or just ignored because there are other strong options on the table. That's part of how you can use that strategy. However, we've seen Fernando Genos for China Dream 2 times in a row. So very high priority for these, the Spaniard and the, what do you call Genos?
Say hello.
The Celestial?
The Celestial.
How about that?
I think that's actually his title, yeah.
Is it?
It's
I thought it
pretty
was
close.
Ascended.
Yeah, you are right, the Ascended. But I like calling him the Celestial.
I like that. Oh, he's got all those constellations in his hands. He's juggling. I'm like,
I mean, he shoots a star splitter for crying out loud.
yeah. This is looking good. I mean, again, the first 5 overall picks in the 2 bands were exactly copy-paste. Grok again coming out for China Dream, though, but now they're taking the Xin. So this is, again, they're getting that flank pressure. We haven't seen a lot when it comes to, how does Xin really fit in. This map more than others, of course, we have. And it's actually going to be Maeve also coming out with Maldamba to finish off the draft for Na'Vi.
Some really creative decisions. And the Lex. So the Lex,
Wow.
most likely heroism again being committed to by China Dream. This time the Zen and the Grok go their way, as well as the Genos and the single frontline Fernando. Na'Vi continuing with the 2 front lines, the Makoa, the Talus mainstays, but adding that Maeve here in Bright Marsh, which can do very well on this map with a lot of nooks and crannies for that alley cat backstabber to run through.
At the risk of sounding completely ignorant, you take a look at Lex, and of course we've seen heroism been used exclusively since we've seen him here. But you look at his other legendaries as well. Death Hastens give you that extra burst early on to those big health pools. But on top of that, Retribution's another one that you see a lot of teams start to kind of play around with just a little bit, just because that extra damage that funnels in can be very viable. And when you look at heroism, not a lot of crowd control on the side of Na'Vi when it comes to being able to slide through it. If you get hooked, you're hooked.
I hear you.
And so it makes you wonder, does that ultimate game or that legendary game kind of change a little bit? It's just interesting to see him come into that conversation.
I mean, I personally was told this at the Fall LAN, and I went and tested it for hours and hours and hours, and I just did not have the success that I wanted. And I switched to Death Hastens and started dominating games because, that extra damage is really palpable in how you use it. But with a competitive team, China Dream here, working as a 5-man unit, great things can happen beyond one person solo queuing here. And Natus Vincere starting it off 9% on the objective, but first blood, Poppy goes down on the Lex this time around. And a pause from Faenex gonna bring us back here into the action, but so far so good for Na'Vi.
Yeah.
Starting pretty much similar to how we had that first game start.
Yeah, it really is. And again, it's when you take a look at Lex, we have a lot of similar mobility conversations that you have with Buck. You want to be able to poke. Someone's low, then you slide and get aggressive. Right there, we saw Guagua in the first game get too aggressive too soon with the slide, gets punished for it. Same thing here. Slides right into Unbelievable, who's sitting here saying, nullify. You're not going anywhere. And that's the first blood again. So, if you're China Dream, I think you need to be a little bit more passive when it comes to, getting that extra poke first and foremost, because Na'Vi's more patient. Like we mentioned earlier, without ultimates, they are super patient when it comes to their gameplay early on in these fights.
Yeah, and that's going to be the kind of, I think, important conversation is, does that patience somehow hurt them or help them?
Yeah.
And how do they need to go against Na'Vi? I'm sure China Dream, despite being prepared for Na'Vi, knowing they were playing them, don't really know a lot about how it goes in terms of feeling out a game against the Natus Vincere squad. These guys are relatively new in terms of these high-priority games, some of them coming together, of course, after that PPL rise to that third place and really kind of great performance at the PPL Fall LAN and the Paladins World Championship qualifiers. There's not a lot of marquee information, I think, for China to go off of, and especially in terms of experience, this matchup has never occurred.
Yeah, and similar conversation, you take a look at what China Dream, or at least JC, was going through in, not only their qualifying process, but the other isolated tournaments that happen. If you are beating up on people so often, what does it feel like when you're down? Because that might not be a familiar feeling.
Right.
And that's an interesting conversational point to, again, you bring that into the exhaustion that's kind of starting to onset, I'm sure, at least in some fashion. This is just going to be really interesting to see how this team learns, adapts, and moves through, because they have a lot of length, in this tournament still left in them, obviously, not only in this set, but if they were to fall or win, a long way to go to get to that finals.
Yeah, and that's the other kind of underlying point about today, is that there really aren't stakes quite yet. There are and there aren't. You aren't out of this tournament. And so, if you are the smartest, the most willing to risk it, you could get some good information here, try a bunch of different things, really, kind of scout out and know that, hey, really, if I just turn it on from now on, starting tomorrow, I'll still have a chance to win the whole thing.
But what a risky mindset to come in with.
Sure is.
Yeah, we have the on button, but we don't want to waste the energy.
But let's, maybe not reveal all our tricks. We know we still have to play, and let's not act like this is the end of the world. I think there's, there's some practicality to that, and there is some maybe overconfidence to that one, or maybe underconfidence. I don't know how that would actually translate.
Yeah, and, you take a look at what, confidence is needed to go up against somebody who is as hot as Na'Vi. I mean, you got to find some success somewhere for China Dream. You need to be able to get that first blood. You need to be able to get a point capture and really just let that fuel the fire that I'm sure they're sitting on. It's kindling. You have to know it is.
I mean, it's been slow starts for China Dream this entire time. I mean, I'd like to see them be pretty aggressive in terms of sending someone other than the Lex kind of out first.
Yeah.
And really trying to maybe aggress with a front line. They've got that Fernando. I don't know if they're sending him to the point. They just, first blood happens right away, and already it's a 5v4. I mean, any team isn't going to do well against Na'Vi in that situation.
Exactly. That's the last thing you want to do is go up against really anybody in this tournament down a player.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, it's influential, especially on a map like Bright Marsh. I mean, we talk about that snaky route that the payload takes, and it forces you to fight in a funnel, whether you're in the middle or on the outsides, or someone's going to jump up and over and surprise you, and you have to be able to react. And so if you're the ones who are trying to initiate and you're getting just absolutely read like a book, that's going to be a really big change to your mentality as far as how you approach a payload defense or push later on.
I think the kind of conversation, too, is how do they use the Grok? I mean, how does that Grok play into it? Big feature for a lot of teams here in this weekend, and he was and still is a big feature now after his buffs that have allowed him to get that extra health, increase the kind of stability of his totem by the potential health of that up to 1,000 with cards adjusted, and also, of course, just the extra damage on the shock pulse. Really doesn't miss the slow too much, although we thought he would, but does just fine without it. I'm curious to see how he's going to be played in terms of the China style.
Yeah, without a doubt. And this is a map, again, where Grok is relatively safe.
Yeah, strong pick, I think.
Yeah, you could put that totem behind so many different corners that it really forces your opponent to either dive to try to get it or just say, fine, you're going to heal.
Right.
And that's big, not only for a Grok to self-sustain himself, but if there is a frontliner that's caught in danger, he can retreat back and get around a corner and get that healing and just be right back in the battle almost instantly.
We also remember that, part of, I think, the style of China Dream and QG back at DreamHack Valencia had been, in terms of these international things, picking a different style of healer and working with Ying, working in the ways that, they really didn't expect and weren't prioritized. But now I think what's interesting is heading into this tournament, so much of the healing category is prioritized. Almost every healer that's available has been played today, and I think actually they have been played today almost quite frequently.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There's going to have to be another separation, and I think they're tried it with the Cassie. I don't know if it's enough, but I think they're going to need to separate themselves in this meta somehow if they're going to have the same type of impact at this tournament.
Without a doubt. we mentioned again, we heard whispers about how China's going to come up with this insane Lex. We've yet to see much impact from Lex as of yet. So we're not sitting here saying that everything relies on this Lex showing up and doing well. But if everyone's starting to talk about it, there needs to be some signs of life. I think it's some, sooner rather than later if you're a China Dream fan.
And I mean, if they're talking about it, it's not probably nothing. There's got to be something there.
It has to be.
Again, late in the day, a lot of conversations to be had around the China Dream team and what works, what doesn't work after seeing all of the games. And I'm sure adjustments are still being made now as we are just getting back in a game as soon as possible. It has been game 1 already. Na'Vi have taken that one over China Dream, and now we find ourselves in Brightmarsh preparing for this game number 2.
Na'Vi just looks so calm and collected. I mean,
yeah, they do.
Goodness gracious. I mean, I think Mutu is like the perfect epitome of, duck on water. It's just super smooth at the surface, but that hand is all over the place. So, I mean, that's just really cool to see, again, that they're able to take these extended pauses, in stride. And we did get, word that it was a full remake happening for this game. So we will start up from scratch once again here on Brightmarsh for map number 2.
The way they're clicking those keyboards, looks like we might be getting going soon here. I know people are ready for it.
2.
We're in. Creatives on the Mave. Let's see what he can do today. Those Street Daggers will be flying across the marsh this afternoon, or this evening now. China Dream as well, playing patiently yet again. Lex finds himself on the left side. Can they stay and have a decent fight here early on? Kami throws the shield. Still a lot of rotation. Faenex misses the hook early. That's a good sign. Maybe China Dream can follow up off this, but it's Creatives in the back line yet again, causing problems.
And Fernando has to kind of pick between a rock and a hard place. Do I go out towards that little pottery area and possibly get pulled? No, it's actually going to be the Grok pulled into danger, but able to ghost walk back away. Faenex now in a little bit of trouble, but the half shell's there and able to get himself on top of a Gord as well, but can he quite get out? It will. And Creatives finds first blood. Faenex picks up a second, both flankers down.
And this could be a snowball here for Na'Vi. Creatives finds 2. Unbelievable finds another. So 2 tanks get 2 kills, and of course Creatives on the flank sets it all up and really opens things up for his team. And he's been so dominant today in this set versus China Dream. Natus Vincere going to easily cap this one and move ahead 1-0 yet again.
Creatives getting aggressive right into the face. Poppy instantly deleting him. Now looking for Guagua. Misses the pounce there, but finds one more dagger. Not quite able to capitalize. Guagua able to trade at least his life away. Mutu finds the kill though.
But just so much of this Natus Vincere domination today is because of Creatives. It's because of what he's doing single-handedly and how he's creating space in this game. If they could shut him down, China Dream have a chance to really turn the tide here, but Natus Vincere are not slowing their roll whatsoever. Faenex making it out alive, and Creatives going to capitalize on that. I mean, what else is new?
Good grief. The target prioritization and change of focus from Na'Vi is absolutely exquisite. You're seeing one person show up on the monitor, and they get instantly deleted. Mutu and Creatives are all over this map, and the front line of Torvald and Makoa have been right there every step of the way.
Natus Vincere looking clinical, absolutely clinical here. And Maeve not, she's here and there in the meta. I don't know if she's been fully supplanted yet in terms of any other flank role, and I like the way that she's been approached, but wow, this Cat Burglar is starting to show more and more of a benefit to those who can really land the knives, as Creatives and Natus Vincere push this through for a 2-0 start against China Dream in game 2.
And I love watching people play this Mave and get really creative to how they're using their prowl and how they're using their pounce to kind of get themselves different lines of sight. It's not always using the pounce for that impact damage. It's to reposition, get that high ground, let that bonus damage with Cat Burglar start to go. You see it here, the 546 per knife starting to hit, and then just shortly after, the big double kill coming through, and then immediately, this is what I'm talking about, able to refocus immediately onto Fernando. Torvald's right there to help out. It's just really good communication from Na'Vi.
And you don't know why he survives there, but in the bottom corner you can see the Mending Spirits heal coming through from him. Spunkki hits him with a nice hit scan heal, stays alive throughout that Fernando onslaught as he went to, I think, below about 200 health. But here's where they need to do something at the beginning of a round. So far, China Dream have had no momentum starting out these games, and if they can get that, it could be a difference. This isn't the best matchup for Maeve, and so she runs away from it, even though popping the ultimate and now having a little bit of a vantage point, may be able to re-engage.
Unbelievable, able to find one, but it is going to be the spite from Guagua, able to find more. The execution comes out, finds 2 more. So now it's actually Na'Vi on their heels for the first time in this set. they're going to be forfeiting a lot of capture percentage. They only found 24% to themselves, and 4% per tick is what it's going to count up for the China Dream.
And still a big zone, but Poppy on this Lex. Let's see what they can do. Dismounts are needed. They don't get Faenex quite yet. True power coming through, and it doesn't go onto Poppy. It actually goes into the backline on the Grok. He ghost walks, puts the totem down. Antediluvian isn't enough to find the kill, and 70% for China Dream now. Things may just start happening.
Yeah, but the retake is very possible and plausible, especially considering they're on the point. Dread Serpent coming out, able to help displace a lot. That's 2 kills, both going Creative's way in the back end of that big crowd control. Now Xin in a little bit of trouble, a little overextended. Tempest was also used, but meanwhile on the point, it's Makoa just absolutely hurling that axe around, finding damage and recontrolling for Na'Vi.
And just like that, Na'Vi are back in control. China Dream, good onslaught, but not really sustained. And sustainable is not something they've seen, but a nice go on the creatives. Maybe he can start the conversation. Good ultimate, doesn't find anything, but creates a lot of space. And with comeback mechanic, they may just have enough. Mutu has to touch, otherwise it's gonna be dangerous. 96 to 93, finds a kill on UFO right there. Double kill now on to Kami. Mutu is savage, they can't stop him, but here comes Guagua and Poppy.
Oh, but it's all Mutu finding the right targets every single time. He does fall there, but able to take Poppy down for his troubles. And it will be Creatives once again winning that little 1v1 that he continues to find against Guagua. What a sustain from Na'Vi. That play between Creatives and Torvald were just absolutely incredible to see the target prioritization again come to life.
And you almost thought it was going to happen for China, but not this time around. Natus Vincere in full command of this game, continuing to dominate. Show that maybe the rumors were true, that they are looking like one of the better teams here. Poppy with a triple execute from China Dream. That's going to stop that offense real quick. And at least give them a bit of breath and a little bit of a highlight reel to take home.
Yeah, the breath is much needed, I think. They really need to find a way to keep themselves in control. Guagua, again, really far up, and he's in a little bit of trouble. He will be able to get into that billow and escape around a corner, but look how spread out China Dream is here. If they're not careful, they're going to get picked up one by one again.
And that's the important part. Another through time and space used pretty liberally there, I'd say, but at 1 minute and 40 seconds, he'll have it back when he needs it. Spite used, doesn't get it, 30% retained, will whirl away. Guagua's look pretty sharp on this Zen, and it does seem that Mutu will fall off and go back with his team, regroup. China Dream doing a good job defending it.
Very good job, and they still have 1:20 to do so, but regardless, that payload, that entire duration that they were fighting was starting to crawl backwards, and that continues to do so here as Na'Vi really needs desperately to find a way to get through it. Now they found it. There's 2 kills there. Another pull coming out as Faenex is able to help convert onto Kami. 1:05 left, and now the payload has a lot of free space in that ground to make up.
And Creatives can really take his time here trying to just find one, and there it is. The Heroism slide is used. This is your chance. Pops the activation of the 9 lives and is able to just get back in with a little bit of health, a little bit of a reset of his cooldowns, and now has the option to maybe go into that prowl very soon and get the extra bonus damage on the knives. Still contesting this defense, but Antediluvian makes it tough for them to sustain right now. And True Power is still on the table for Talus, so they've got to watch out, especially those getting low. Luckily, Poppy finds a kill on a Mutu.
He's got a nice angle here as well to get into the backline. That's exactly what he does. He's going to chase down Faenex, find that one, turn his attention back to Damba. One more shot from those dual magnums will be able to clean that one up. And this is what I think everyone was talking about as far as the impact that Lex can have when he finds himself a free angle to get and absolutely punish those that are low in HP.
And I think when he just finds himself a little bit of confidence, a little bit of rhythm. Right now, though, his matchup against Maeve has been very difficult, but that wasn't difficult at all. That was about as easy as, copying your friend's math homework. Do that every day if possible, but 6 streak for Poppy continues on, and it's looking like it's going to turn into an 8, as I don't see any way Natus Vincere are going to be able to defend against this onslaught from Poppy and China Dream. It's a defense successful first point of the game here against Na'Vi.
In watching Na'Vi kind of carry out like sub 30 seconds with how much distance they had, it really felt like they weren't necessarily going for a full push, but to try to get those ultimates recharged back up. 4 of the 5, Torvald close to his to make it the 5th. But again, you see this angle that Poppy's able to find through these little potion shops on the right-hand side. He's able to come right back and look at that huge triple kill, properly targeted as he had both frontliners and the Maeve low right in front of his face.
Yeah, the Maeve was a little bit higher. I think I remember watching that from creative standpoint, and I think he almost got lucky that Maeve happened to be trying to aggress onto him at that point in time. But Poppy definitely showing that he knows how to work with Lex. It's been a good switch up for him. Guagua looks better on the Jhin, I would say. And now on an 8 streak, he's still got that ultimate. Can he be as impactful That Retribution also allowing him to see his opponents through walls, and that's going to put Spunkki in a bad spot, but he's getting aggressed on by the Torvald. He's going to go down. Oh no, Heroism keeps him alive.
Whoa.
Unbelievable, just sneaks the kill.
And he's able to recharge his health back up, lose that shield back up, so will he fully get out? What a peel from Creatives, able to go back onto UFO, who is chasing down Torvald.
Wow.
And that's going to keep everybody alive for Na'Vi. They win that team fight and find themselves in a pretty picture, 45% and counting up for that potential 4th point.
But they are a little bit staggered here in terms of a little forward, a little back, one on the point right now. They can't lose these duels, and they certainly won't. Creatives make sure that one ends with his name on the signed letter of approval. And of course, Natus Vincere looking to maybe sign their names on this. But look at that, Guagua finds 2 here. Kami finds 2 as well. And just like that, Natus Vincere are wiped.
It's really fun to see, you know, you take Faenex off the table, it's just unbelievable left to Torvald, and that's going to let the Fernando just move right on in and take that 1v1 all day long. Guagua did a really good job finding that spite onto Faenex, taking him out early on in that little re-engage. 96% is where it's stalled for Na'Vi. 99 though, now someone's got to stay on the point if you're trying to dream. Hyper Beam coming out, trying to negate that though.
And they dig at the overtime, so they will be fine right now. Shield popped up for Fernando. One's going to fall, but now it's up to Guagua. How many can he get? He's got the whirl available. Can he get Faenex? That could be huge. Oh my God, the block doesn't work. The counter, not enough to return the damage or keep himself alive. A nice hook from Faenex should do it. China Dream, they go down 0-2, and Creatives pumps his fist as Navi's 1 game away from moving on to the next round.
And they look good. I mean, they looked great yesterday against
look
Entity. They're looking really controlled still here, and you know, it's. We wanted, I think we were both coming into the set saying this could be a very surprisingly hyped match between possibly 2 front runners here. China Dream just has not looked, you know, they have not fulfilled the shoes that were built for them when it comes to the hype train that people were throwing their way through. I mean, but again, we talked about Creatives earlier. He was kind of the unsung hero on a lot of teams. He's found himself a really steady home, and he's showing up on everything so far. The Xin gameplay last was great, and now here on the Mave as well, connecting for so many huge shots.
You see him taking on that duel with the Lex and running that heroism with, I think, a little bit more of a Buck style of poke here, in and out, in and out. It might have worked, but he was getting aggressed on so much that it was live or die. When Maeve went up into him, it was live or die. And that heroism, not so great mid-fight. It's really good in terms of initiating, re-initiating, but Creatives never allowed him to play at his own pace, and that's the whole thing. Na'Vi have not allowed China Dream to play at their own pace. And so we're really looking at the caliber of Na'Vi here, maybe taking it up to another level, not letting anything go against these Chinese teams.
And there were a couple of moments in that last highlight clip where Creatives was doing all this anticipatory pouncing to get away from instances where he knew he was going to be reconverted on when he was in that back line. He found himself a 1v1, but knew he was going to get turned down. He pounces away. Lex in that one clip comes around the corner. He gets taken down because it's another 1v1. That takes a lot of trust to know that your team can bail you out of situations like that. And that just goes again to show, like, those little moments where you see things like that happen, it's more than just the gameplay on the screen. It's what's happening behind it. All that communication that has to go into knowing you can trust your teammates and yourself to be able to do those incredible moves.
You brought up an interesting point as well. What does it look like when you win and then you stop winning?
Yeah.
That's what China Dream are experiencing here. Can't feel easy coming and trying to assimilate 2 new players, although talented, accomplished in the international scene, still not the same ones you've been working with for the majority of the year. Na'Vi, though, they're in a position with this lineup that has always somehow avoided first place to really make a statement here against China Dream, put them down, and secure themselves a spot in the next round. I think this would be a very, very good step forward for Na'Vi.
Do you still kind of look at Na'Vi as an underdog?
Personally, I think it's hard for me to not to. I've seen these guys play unbelievable, creative, Spunkki as well, and it's just always kind of been very, very close. Despite Spunkki being a champion here of this last event, it's just with the WASD squad that it was, and with the way that D69 and Burrito and Gangstars were. And it just was always something I think that's built into the rhetoric of a lot of these players. But, with this new Na'Vi squad, it's kind of a new life, a new hope, a new beginning. And they've done so well to, I think, throw that away and really start to peel back the layers and say, we are a fresh new team.
Yeah, and they have championship caliber gameplay going on right now.
Yeah.
I mean, no question about it. Seeing them play the last 2 days to fall finals to the month and a half or so since they have done that to now. It just not much has really changed when it comes down to their ability to work together. And it seems like such a simple concept, but I mean, Faenex is hanging out. He's just having himself a lounge. Can we get him a hammock or something? He looks like he's ready to just absolutely stroll in the wind.
And he looks good. Looks really good. Just set up nice between a couple of trees. I mean, PC monitors. Either way, I think that works. China Dream. Their dreams may be falling here, but still no one's dream is really dead because tomorrow you have a chance to play yet again. It's going to be an action-packed day. And, of course, this last one could round it out for us. But, I mean, looking more towards, I think, Na'Vi as well and kind of talking about why I sometimes question, I think, their ability to win. And today, obviously, those questions have been answered fully. I'm all about it. Mutu. Sometimes Mutu doesn't show up. And I think that that's an important thing. When Mutu shows up, it's kind of like my thing with Evil Eye and G2 Esports. When he shows up, they got championship caliber. When he doesn't, they're not.
And that's why it's good to see creative step into that that limelight here a little bit more and kind of, I won't say stepping above where Mutu has been in history, but able to step in, I think is the big thing, and fill that role if necessary. Faenex has got the confidential book of plays there.
He knows all the plays before they happen.
Just cartoons.
It could be. It could be. Practicing some art. I'm just going to drop a merch line later on, just working on some designs here.
Maybe a little bit of Calvin Hobbes just inserted in there.
Exactly. That's classy.
Love Calvin Hobbes. So map 3 Frog Isle, this is a really standard map we've seen a handful of times recently in PC. And as we get to picks and bans, I mean, we talked about Grok, how strong he is here.
Yep.
I mean, do you see, picks like we've seen now with Lex and Zin in 2 straight games? Do you see, by chance, either of those coming back out here?
I mean, I think it seems China Dream very committed to the Fernando Genos start, very committed to the Lex. Now, let's see if something changes here because they're going to ban the Buck again. Na'Vi, I'd expect ban the Bomb King. And it's interesting because, now we're seeing the stubbornness almost come out from China Dream when it was almost the exact opposite when QG was the ones who was changing everyone's meta. But with the Makoa here, you never know what could happen with Na'Vi. This could change everything now that Faenex is off that one, but Torvald taken away. And will it be a Stagala he's paired with, or will they go for a healer? Genos has been highly prioritized today. And he's going to get grabbed.
Yeah, it's just, we talk so much about the pros that Genos brings, and you sit here and you think about, well, what cons does he have? And the list is literally, you have to force yourself to think of
Yeah,
cons.
you got to really think of it.
Well, his heal, it's like, he can have a burst heal, but it lasts a long time. It's not as bursty as Meldama can be. But that's like,
it's not
really,
a big
you're
con.
really twisting yourself to try to make that happen. Here, his Zen comes out once again, so going and sticking with their guns is China Dream.
Sticking with their flame swords, you mean?
Yes, that's what I meant. Sorry. Pardon me.
And I think that is important to note because the Lex doesn't come out. The guns don't come out right now. And if China Dream go away from the Lex, I think that's okay. Guagua looks comfortable on Zen. What else can Poppy play? What else does he feel comfortable on aside from the Cassie, aside from the Lex? And that's where I think we're going to see the diversity and the ability for these guys to play ball with the Europeans in this tournament right now.
See, Zin for me in this map is this feels really forced, I think is the best way of putting it. Talus is fantastic. We've seen his ability to, again, be a a mid-range kind of damage dealer to the frontliners of your opponents, but also have the ability to get into the backline really quickly. And he's got a lot of protection around him. The Torvald protected bubble, Unbelievable, has been absolutely on point with these clutch save bubbles all night long.
I also want to, just point out that they've gone solo frontline every time. And I think that if you're going to do that, you may need to invest into a little bit more damage. I like that they're finally going into something that's giving them some more sustain, some more flexibility. Makoa Ruck is such a different look than just a solo Fernando.
Oh, yeah.
And then a Strix. I mean, this is basically as different as a lineup as you could get for China Dream.
This is a bold pick. You have one more damage dealer coming out for Na'Vi still, and they're going to have a chance to really react to this Strix. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like an Eevee come out in this instance, just simply because of the ability to, again, get in the backline, come on back. Na'Vi's got a lot of options here to respond to that Strix while also having already a pretty solid lineup to deal with everything else on the table. Yeah, Grover could come out, or we could see something a little bit more off the table.
Now, the thing is, I don't know if I like the Sky here. I love seeing it, and I know people in the stands, and they love watching it, but I'm just a I think Illuminate just really hurts Sky. And if you are smart, and I know our China Dream team is smart, I think if you invest in that early, it can kind of shut down an entire member of Na'Vi, especially when the channels are already so limited in Frog Isle as to how Sky can sneak around. But on the other side, it's going to be very good against the front line, especially if they go debilitate. And Damba's a pretty tanky support as well.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and you know he's got a very tough time of being able to respond to flanks. Is the big thing.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have to deal with 2 of them. That's gonna be a tough task for him to do, while also trying to keep Makoa and Ruckus alive in the face of a lot of persistent damage from Fernando's lance and of course Torvald, which can silence people essentially in place. It's a tall task for the Maldamba, and we don't talk a lot about supports, but you know, you think back to Valencia, again, we go back there so often in our minds, a little bit of nostalgia for us, but the big key there of why games were either won or lost was the sustainability and survivability of support players. They're a really key integral part of comps like this for China Dream.
Well, the Sky picked up here as a closing game for Na'Vi to move into the next round. It's surprising to pretty much everyone here. Surprise attack looks like will be the choice for Mutu on that one. And Fastia bargain for creatives as they started out.
The crack shot also coming out for Strix, which again it helps him deal with that flank pressure, gives him that that bonus damage, and there are cards there that help him not only get that stability with the pistol, but also some lifesteal off of it, which could really help him survive in those instances for Sky. Well, to see how it all plays out. Smoke bomb to start things off for Mutu on Sky.
Oh my God, the positioning of Strix right now. I think he's on the right side, to be honest. And I don't know if they can spot him out. Mutu maybe just going on to Faenex, onto the Makoa here for Kami. But so far, so different in terms of the fight here. Nice poison bolts as well. Gets a lot of damage off as the bow continues. 39% on the objective and counting. And first blood, though, goes to Poppy here on the Strix.
Oh, and it's on Faenex, too. So Fernando going down is actually pretty big. Torvald cannot be as aggressive for free. Just able to not clip the heal there was Poppy. So we'll look for another line of sight from the window for the side of China Dream. Looking for this Torvald. Again, he's not able to really go anywhere. Will they get aggressive? Ruckus is trying to force him in there.
I mean, can anyone get to this Strix? That's the question. The Sky was basically body blocked on both sides. Now the Strix has gone down. Poppy could be in trouble here. He's getting so much damage, and look at that rifle. The pistol comes through, and that's Guagua now taking command. He's got a chance to go and finish off Genos, but it's not going to work out this time.
Torvald's just such a good response to a Xin that wants to get aggressive. You just rotate on over, and if you can get that nullify off, he's a sitting duck.
Yeah.
And that's really big. I mean, he's so reliant on his cooldowns. Mutu, on the other hand, not as reliant as he's able to, not quite get out with the smoke bomb that would have been right on the point. Dread Serpent comes out for the side of China Dream, and they've got themselves 99% in overtime fading away with numbers.
I mean, Muma with a really incredible stun to make sure that the Sky goes down early. And again, the Sky pick is really question marks for me, but China Dream, they have answered some question marks here. They switch their lineup completely, and they go ahead and grab the first objective here on Frog Isle.
And Ufo's doing the exact right thing, trying to get on top of those little walls to the left-hand side as he rounds the corner, looking for that line of sight down that alleyway. We'll find a lot of damage here, but it will be actually Muma once again finding a kill. We talked about that support. He's finding himself in the kill feed now, taking care of Mutu, and Poppy also taking care of Faenex. So again, numbers starting to build in favor of China Dream.
Heads of fire available, just 5%. Guagua goes down so quickly thanks to Spunkki, but nice shot from Poppy. And the bolt action sniper rifle getting a lot of action here as Poppy on a 7 streak seems to be the man with the plan for China Dream. They don't have an answer for him quite yet. Natus Vincere's Sky pick hasn't worked out in terms of countering that, but the time bomb is here. It may be just too little too late. That gets nothing. Hyper Beam is useless, and here's a Hexafire as it's about 90% pushed through.
Not able to sustain it through, though he channeled it up, didn't have the emitter popped, and he melted very quickly to the guns and the bolts of Mutu. Able to find another kill. There is spunkki. Can he find the last shot? Whips that one just a bit outside was Poppy. Looking for a shot once here again onto Faenex. He falls again. The Fernando has not been living all that long yet.
No, not at all. And now it looks like Poppy gonna maybe back off. He's lost a few of his teammates. Still on a 9 streak. The Torvald bubble doing enough to give creatives the upper advantage he needed to take down the sniper. Finally, that'll give him some good credit, some good ultimate charge. Na'Vi sitting on 4, while China Dream have used all of theirs except for Strix's, who is coming up in just a moment. But they've got 51 seconds, and they're basically about to push if they win one more fight.
If they get one more kill, that starts to look a lot more favorable, and that's what they need to do. Mutu falling low again. It's actually going to force Faenex to pop a shield just to try to keep him safe. And a protective bubble also used, so a lot of cooldowns trying to keep this Sky alive, and not a lot of impact as of yet. Flash did come out. Not sure if it found really much at all. Mutu able to find Guagua the Immortal also being used here, Evan, and it's looking like the defense is really going to hold up.
That was strong, and I think a lot of it was that flashbang went into the Fernando shield and didn't really detonate, so I don't think they got the impact of the blind that it provides. 59 health to Mutu's name now. Playing a very dangerous game between her and Strix. Luckily, this time she comes out with her life, but still 8 seconds left. The time bomb is available. This gets better and better when you know where the enemy team has to fight. That's exactly what Mutu knows, but look at that. He spotted them out. I don't know if he has Illuminate quite yet, but it looks like he might.
Yeah, I think he had, well, maybe at least eliminate one. He picked it up early on, probably at level 2 by now. Trades coming over there on the point, overtime in effect. Mumo's trying to keep this one in their favor, but does fall away. Guagua's still here, but he's only going to be able to use so many cooldowns to stay on the point, and it looks like the last one will be that counter. Not successful for the push. It will be Natus Vincere tying it up.
Well, despite all that, China Dream definitely looking fresh, looking new, and I think that's a big deal for us here casting. And Mutu on that Sky had some interesting moments. I don't know if all of them were exactly as he planned, but definitely did some damage.
Yeah, I mean, melting. That's the big thing. When you have a high health bull target in front of you, you hit that right click essentially for free. You can slice through just about anybody. That time, it was the Hexafire wielding Ruckus that was falling victim to that overall poison tick that comes out, and that's where Sky really shows her strength. I mean, yeah, she can 1v1 if you're hitting your shots, obviously, but the big key is being able to really disable the frontliners often.
And Poppy and UFO with the Illuminate. This is important. No one has Illuminate on the side of Natus Vincere, and Mutu may want to actually invest in that to catch up with the Strix, although his stealth doesn't last that long. What a stun from long range. This puts Gami in a bad spot. Shell spins away. He's still alive. Finds two. China Dream in a good spot here, although Spunkki able to stay on the point, grab a little percentage, and return the kill onto Kami.
That's actually really big. Kami had no choice but to shell spin forward. He had a couple of good follow-up plays with his team, but the key is Fernando and Genos were still alive for Na'Vi, so they're able to stay relatively healthy and up front to make sure they're contesting. And it looks like True Power will come out onto Poppy, who will actually turn that one away. Hexafire also being used right in front of him. Not finding any kills yet, but a lot of damage has been secured for the side of China Dream.
Great flashbangs as well from Poppy, really utilizing that. Good shot as well, opening up, finds Mutu with the bolt action. And now he's looking for another one. Headshots available, no heads in sight. They don't want to peek the corner. Throws out the flare, he can see where he is, and now retreating is the Talus. But going right towards a victory here is China Dream. They're up once more in this game, and this is a completely new, revitalized China roster after a couple of these changes.
It's really tough. You get that True Power into your face, and now it's Talus sitting there saying, whoa, that was a mistake. Absolutely got blown apart thanks to, again, that crack shot that came out, plus the flashbang that you mentioned. And now Poppy has this, again, long line of sight here in the left-hand side through that little alley. He's got a Ruckus right in front of him to help kind of soak up some of that damage, but he's only able to stay there for so long as they kind of taggle back and forth. Just under 2 minutes till overtime. The payload's still moving for free, just over halfway through its travels.
UFO as well doing a great job just poking people out low, baiting out with the emitter and just being a distraction. This is why, oh man, things were working well just then until that hyper beam came through for Torvald. Unbelievable, showing his prowess on this champion, and just knocks a couple into the drink. And that's going to stall things out for Natus Vincere, as China Dream will unfortunately have to reset here. Unbelievable, grabbing 3 in that exchange. That's a good start, and this is why Torvald is so synonymous with Frog Isle.
Oh yeah, and I mean, Unbelievable is extremely accurate with those little plasma bursts that are coming out of the gauntlet. That's strong, the strong hand.
The strong hand.
Torvald, and able to find a lot of killing blows himself. That's huge. Able to find damage and, of course, conversion with that hyper beam. Another flash does pop out. You see those little sparkles kind of floating on the screen for creatives. He shakes that one off and gets right back into the fight. Looking for them at the middle. Through space and time will find Poppy. Again, that's the big key. Able to get that ultimate from Genos onto a more stationary sniper.
And you know what? When you're scoped in, it's hard to see that sometimes. You don't actually get the full vision. You might be looking somewhere else, and the size, the area of the beam could be on your body, but not in the vision of your actual crosshair. And that is one of the things that makes it very difficult for snipers to deal with. And that's, I think, why it's a great pickup, not only on maps like Timber Mill, but even Frog Isle, where snipers are sometimes a big part of the game.
Absolutely. And oh my goodness, a max range pull. Although, oh, it was actually onto the Talus, who just used his route of travel to come right back onto the map just in the nick of time. Crack shot starts to chew through the Fernando, but his shield will keep him alive. Back into the stealth mode goes Poppy, but again, without their frontliners being here, they have to be really careful. Look at Mumu, he's really far aggressed, and if he falls, that could be a really bad stagger. Fortunately for him, he's able to get out.
This is so bad, Alan. I mean, everyone is just sitting at about 30% health, finally getting healed up now, but that was a very dangerous position. That flare seems like it's coming out every 5 seconds. Poppy wants the vision. He certainly is getting it. I think if they can take a good shot on the Spunkki, force him out of the fight, that could be big. Flashbang available now. Poppy just needs one to open it up. Spunkki trades with UFO, but that does get the healer off the side of Na'Vi.
That's huge. That's really, really huge to make sure that, you know, you're trying to get yourself that presence up front as much as possible. Overtime in effect. Payload is actually still inching its way forward. Creative's in a little bit of trouble here. Guagua will find that kill. That's 3 straight for the side of China Dream. Make that 4 as Kami finds another. It's just Fernando left alive. He's got no immortal. The shield will do what it can to try to stagger some time, but it's going to be QG Kami coming in for the China Dream, pushing it through, and a little bit of shines of life here from the CN Dream.
Oh, a little bit of signs of life. Suddenly, it doesn't feel like such a dark day. I feel the lights are coming on in the building here. Slow birds chirping. It's like, okay, I see what's going on here. And I think Natus Vincere may see what's going on here as well. It's that this Sky pick not quite working out, as well as Faenex 0-10. Not quite working out as well. And I'm curious to see where the Illuminate is at it for Poppy right now. He may just have level 3. He's got level 2, but 3 members have level 2. I mean, that's what I say about Sky, and I think it's just so important. Illuminate shuts this character down.
Well, especially considering that there's not a lot of routes for Sky to go.
No maneuverability.
Yeah, so that's why this is, you know, it's a spicy pick, and it can work, but as the game gets later and later, and you get your cauterizing your record where you want it to, you can afford to go into something like Illuminate. True Power is going to start things off with the 3 space and time. The combo's there, and dude, seriously?
Wow, that was unusual there. One might even say unbelievable. And he gets the kill, and the credit. Mutu finds the kill for Kami, but that was so quick. And with the comeback mechanic, there may not even be a chance for China Dream to fight back and have a chance at this objective.
It's just so easy to dismount for so many champions right now for Na'Vi. They can afford to get aggressive. Time Bomb actually used this to zone everybody away. Really smart. Use actually fights Guagua again.
Oh, wow.
I'm baffled.
I'm not even sure how Guagua showed up. It didn't look like he was on my feed that I was watching here. Pops in just to get a death by that time bomb. Hey, what's up, guys? Oh, be right back. 10 seconds.
Big gulps, huh?
And that is going to be Natus Vincere claiming an objective here, claiming some extra credits and getting themselves back in the game. And just as we were talking about Sky not having an impact, Mutu goes ahead and shuts us up, finds a couple kills, and helps Na'Vi turn the tide.
And again, Unbelievable finds himself in the kill feed so often, playing a frontliner that we really don't associate with damage in any facet, and he's able to find so many connections with that gauntlet shot, and it's really big when you can get someone who's not expected to deal damage to get some killing blows.
And that's what they're looking for. And I think if you just avoid getting blown off there by the Torvald, you're good. And again, talking about Illuminate as well, things like Resilience can't get bought. So as much as they are countering out that Sky, in many ways they are allowing this Torvald to not hit any late game in terms of the effectiveness of his Nullify or the effectiveness of his Hyper Beam.
A great pull there into Mutu to try to get things back into favor of the defensive-sided China Dream, able to find 2 kills. One onto the Mutu and another onto Fernando, played by Faenex. And this is, again, how this map can completely just... You flip the field so quickly as soon as you start to get some numbers advantage. You see UFO's trying to set up that front line. He's bouncing up and down with that aerial assault and trying to keep himself in this fight as long as possible. Wisely backs up, though, as well. A minute left for Na'Vi to get back to this payload. It's a little under halfway through its journey at the moment.
As you mentioned, about 50 seconds on the table. This is where you'd want to see ultimates used. I think maybe even 20 seconds earlier is where I would have liked to see them, but now it's kind of, if you use it now, you may not have it over that next objective fight. You may not have it if it gets down to an overtime defense going on here, so that's something that's critical. If Na'Vi start to hit the gas pedal, which I think would be an interesting decision, knowing that it's not that easy to guarantee a push here, I think China Dream should hold on to theirs.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, they have no need to use it as of yet. I would think that you don't even start considering it as the payload in overtime. It's going to have to get to about that 90% mark, but maybe not even needed. Creatives does find 2 kills, though, for Na'Vi, trying to get back to that point desperately, but a big stun there once again, connecting. Not able to find any kills, though, is China Dream, so they are on the heels a little bit as we get our third commentator involved with the countdown from 10.
He is so consistent. Never misses
So
a call
good.
time.
Never misses a call time.
Where? And always giving us the 3-2-1s. And now it's overtime here. Guagua finds a kill on the spunkki. That's going to make it a very, very difficult push. Without a healer, it's almost, you know, impossible to go ahead and keep on pushing.
Trying to do so, though. I mean, they have both frontliners here. Creatives is also here with full HP. And trying to find a kill, but no, it will be Poppy again, finding the better part of Torvald's HP pool to take him out. And trying to move back through this. Overtime is just in a weird spot. Poppy continues to just pick up people apart for free. You can see him right up front now trying to get aggressive as he's trying to keep everyone off the payload. They'll do so successfully. 3-2 the score. Nice sustained defense there. And again, you mentioned it. You don't want to see ults come out. It was just the flashbang. It's really kind of negligible at that point.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it charges actually very fast.
Very fast.
Very fast, considering how much we've seen Poppy have an opportunity to just hit a couple of shots early on in the fight. It's not like he's getting aggressed on immediately. He's playing quite offensive. And you can see Faenex right here, 0-12, probably the worst stat line we've seen from him in a LAN.
I'm trying to think back to when I've seen Faenex play Fernando last. It's been a hot minute. We saw him play, of course.
Spicy minute.
A spicy caliente minuto.
3.
Damage dealt, though, this is a good stat to look at as we see, again, the
Wow.
flankers actually pretty much toe for toe there. But Poppy's looking great. You have all 5 ults for Na'Vi and really the 4 big ones coming out for China Dreams. This point fight is going to be another spice, but through
Oh, he
space time
missed.
does not get anything.
I think he just aimed left. I don't think he was right on the mark there. Spunkki with a rare miss on the through time in space. Mutu finds 2, though, with that one, and he uses the time bomb. He gets spirited away, and she's still going to stay in the smoke screen, which allows her to really not take much damage off of that fear. Poppy finds a kill on the Faenex early on, so he goes 0-13, but Creatives and Spunkki get in on the action. This is Natus Vincere having a control over the kills, but they've only got 24% on the objective still.
Yeah, it was a really good play by Makoa to continue to try to be there and survive, and that's a huge hook onto Torvald nonetheless, and trying to move on forward as the rest of his team, but Guagua's not able to find an opening. Kami does fall apart, so half of that QG roster that's here does fall away. 72% for Na'Vi. They do have a slight comeback mechanic in effect because they are still down a point.
Yep.
89%, and it looks like with the kills coming out a little bit more staggered. That was a nice little world to come right back onto point, but can Guagua continue to hold this?
And now he's going to build. He has his ultimate. He's not going to use it there, but he's stuck the overtime. And here it is, the time bomb from Sky. They still can reset this, and this is important. Na'Vi have been staying on the objective, and they've been dying and dying and dying. And Poppy, Kami, Mumo, and Ufo find kills. And China Dream are this close to getting themselves back in this set with a game. Natus Vincere may have just overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, but they're not getting all that aggressive, Evan. They need to find a way to dismount. You don't want to give Na'Vi a chance to come on back. They still have another time and space, as you mentioned, that didn't quite hit for Spunkki before. He has it back again. 87% up to 90 for China Dream, trying to put this one to bed. Spunkki does find a kill into Ufo, but Poppy again gets the better of Mutu.
Through time and space, can he find it? Misses yet again. Kami, what can he do here? Here's the Dread Serpent. This could be huge, though. 99% just went to 100. And there it is. They're going to pop Faenex out of the shield. They're going to take him down. Guagua finds Faenex, and that's the final kill. 93 to 96%. Natus Vincere are melting away. China Dream have all 5 alive. Spunkki's the last man remaining. China Dream, they're going to go ahead and win game number 3 and make this set a lot more interesting.
I am starting to fanboy over Poppy just a little bit.
Poppy.
He's over here just snapping photos with that Strix scope. He's finding so many clutch kills, finding the ones he needs to as well. That's the big thing. Every time I saw him in the kill feed, it was either a low HP frontliner or he's able to get those candid shots onto people like Mutu on the Sky, or of course Spunkki playing, you know, the support class. That's what you want to see. You know, we saw Josh Kent giving Strix a go, and you know, I think he was probably a little frustrated with his performance, but Poppy here is showcasing the potential that Strix has.
And it's so exciting to see Strix used in that way. And I think, again, I don't mind the flank option, but you anticipated the Eevee, and I think that would have been a little bit more flexible in terms of being able to deal with the Strix and just distract the Strix, make him look different ways. I think the Sky, I mean, it was like LA traffic on the 101. There's really only one direction you're going, and everyone knows where it is. and it's not too exciting to sit and watch. And I mean, Mutu was left or right, and there were 3 people next to him, and a lot of times just didn't work out. And how about that 0 and seems like 14 game for Faenex?
Yeah, a very underwhelming performance from someone who is really as solid as they get when you talk about frontliners in the current competitive market. I mean, obviously not the gameplay that he wanted. But again, you look at the potential, when you have Makoa on your side. I mean,
Right.
It's gone the way of Makoa every time so far in this set, and there's a reason for that. I mean, again, we hit it so often, but Makoa is so influential, able to get people away. But, as we transition off of Faenex, we haven't talked much about Unbelievable, who a year ago was the standout frontline performer from HRX in 2017. He's doing another incredible job here. This time, instead of on Ruckus, it's on Torvald.
Exactly. He was really that Ruckus. And it's funny, Faenex also plays a very good Ruckus, kind of made his name on that. So it seems like a lot of frontline players who step into the realm make their names on those offensive, kind of aggressive, playmaking frontliners, and then transition into the more, hey, I could play an Inara too, pretty badassly. And, looking at this here, Natus Vincere, they have a chance to obviously get themselves back together. I think part of my conversation directing it would be from China Dream's perspective, the fact that they were able to adjust from the lineups they were playing to this, the double support. I mean, double front line away from the single Fernando and taking in the Strix and then to do this well makes me think maybe this is how well they would have done the entire time.
Yeah, it very well could have been. And I'm sure that conversation in some fashion is probably still happening, in the earbuds of the China Dream squad. And now we're going to see Stone Keep come up with map number 4 or 5. And this is looking, again, like another map that you could see some, interesting picks coming out as far as possible snipers go. Not so safe, but Grover's obviously really great here. And Poppy has shown his versatility so far. He's played a different champion every single set. I would say I'm a little disappointed if I don't see him pull out a new champ in his pool here.
Yeah, absolutely. Poppy just keeps showing us the world here in terms of his champion diversity. And China Dream, maybe not as exciting, a little bit underwhelming for the first couple of games, but that third game sure did make a mark and an impression. And we're heading into the picks and bans now for game number 4. China Dream trying to tie it up, and Natus Vincere trying to put this set away.
Bets on Bomb King Buck for bans here?
I'll call that.
1 for 2.
And I think you're going to find it. It's a wow, Makoa.
Okay.
So they're going to force the buck, possibly leave it open. This leaves China Dream with a Fernando if they really want it.
It makes me wonder as well if China Dream wants the Torvald here. To possibly, take that away from Unbelievable, who has been his namesake on that champion so far, as it looks like Buck will be our first overall selection. And yes, we are entertained, Mr. Buck.
Well, I think they also realized Faenex on Makoa versus Fernando. What a difference.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, I don't know if it was just Faenex. There were a lot of different variables, but if you're just a betting man, you're saying he's better for against us when he doesn't have Makoa. So let's ban that away. And then they take the Talus Poppy, maybe showing his diversity even more now.
And Genos to come up with that. And again, we've seen why Genos has been the priority for a lot of teams here. He's able to bring out a lot. And almost instantly, as we imagine the peanut butter and jelly does come out, Buck Torvald will show their faces here on Stone Keep. And again, the Hyper Beam is, plausible to be used here. It's not as impactful as you've seen on other maps, but it does have some sixth man element with that big overarching sky right next to all those banisters and forts.
Yes, absolutely has a chance to be used. And of course, Fernando, a big conversation piece in this set. It didn't work so well for either team. In fact, he's 0-3. Fernando's 0-3 in this set. But Ruckus has seemed to do pretty well, and maybe Fernando will do better with a buddy. That's the big question.
He likes to play with his friends.
That's right.
That's what it comes down to. Zin coming out once again. Then this is 4 straight maps. We've seen Zin kind of pop into the conversation. Grok as well, kind of mimicked up with that front line. And, I really like the Grok a lot, especially matched with a Torvald, just because, again, that Tempest can really help him not only in escape, but also if you need that extra little boost to get up to the point, it helps a lot. And it will be Meldama mimicked up, so, again, that kind of support and a half picked up so here for Navi.
Now, I wonder what China Dream... Oh, my gosh, an Eevee. China Dream.
Whoa.
I was going to say a Blaster would feel good right here, but they go for a blaster that we thought we'd see Na'Vi pick out. And I got to say that if Creatives gets beat by this Eevee, he's going to be kicking himself tonight as China Dream, again, fighting for that dream for this region that has really made Paladins such an exciting international scene over the last couple of months and brought so much anticipation to this event, this game in particular, rounding out the night. It's past midnight here in the building pretty much, and Hi-Rez Expo 2018, and people still in the stands. It's been a heck of a day, but no one's leaving until they see the results at the end of this set.
It's going to get really interesting really quickly. I actually, I'm thinking about, you mentioned the blast damage, and I was like, yes, that definitely needs to come out. And you look at Eevee, she can be really elusive here on Stone Keep, whether it is something like Wormhole being used up, but of course Reprieve is also very viable. The fact of the matter is, if she gets jumped on by Buck, she's got so many ways to get away from that if she feels like she can't take the 1v1, while also putting a lot of pressure into some of these very stationary champions that she'll be going up against. It looks like it will be, in fact, a Maelstrom for Faenex coming out, so looking for that extra damage.
I like Poppy on this Talus now, and Guagua will be the one on to the Eevee, so that's very interesting. And inner strength, that's what I saw. That's the reset.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yeah, that's the reset, I believe. Very, very interesting stuff coming through, and that's China Dream for you, and I think that's what makes people so excited to watch.
Yeah.
China Dream is that almost everything that's standard for us and standard in a lot of the Western kind of metas and even the European metas just shift dramatically in China. It's kind of a clash of two different ideals, so to speak.
And I'm thinking back again to when we last saw Guagua play, and there was at least one game, probably a couple, where Shasha was playing Buck and then Guagua was playing Eevee as they kind of danced back and forth on these double flanks. And now we're going to get a similar taste of that, you know, having her be a part of this team with a Talus. So in inner strength, as you mentioned, if that does in fact hold up to be the legendary, that's going to bring a totally different look. We've seen a lot of Faustin Bargain so far. I don't think we've seen any inner strength
or Raging Demon,
or Raging
Demon,
right.
That's really what got adjusted so that the Raging Demon was still a very vital part of his kit, almost into his base kit now instead of having to pick the legendary for that.
This is an interesting draft. I'm actually really excited to see, again, just the versatility that this China Dream team takes. We hear so much about what QG Craze was doing, previous to Valencia, how much they prepared. These guys are probably going to get done tonight and go watch, the VODs and stay up and try to find a way.
I pity them at this point.
Well, I don't know.
I'm going to sleep. That's what I tell you I'm doing, because we got to be back in the morning, and it's so much action still left to play.
Yeah, this is a good, I think, feeling out moment. It's a good draft for China Dream. At the same point, though, it again tries to show what can work here. They might have found certain things when they were playing up against their rival Chinese teams. I'm sure a lot of people who were really following the scene watched the videos when they were going up in those qualifiers versus QG, and there were a lot of things thrown around then, too. So I think this is a really good idea from China Dream. This is viable. It can work. And why not give it a shot?
That's what they are all about here. Give it a shot. In fact, it was always just a fairy tale whenever China won DreamHack Valencia. It was always just, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And now it's a weird kind of situation where it's almost expected of them. So much has been talked about this team, and kind of Na'Vi has really done a good job of riding below the radar until just about right now, when right before this game, murmurs started appearing of these guys are really the ones to watch out for. They may be the best. And so we'll have to see. There's still so much to unfold here in this tournament. Paladins World Championship 2018 still has a lot more plot points to unveil.
We're young in this weekend of what's going to be. Tomorrow is going to be an absolute barn burner.
Yeah.
You're going to get knockout stages. You're going to get people who are literally fighting for their lives. Every point, every map matters. And I think you're going to start to see these teams really come to life with what they think is the best iteration of their compositions coming in. There's a lot of really interesting matchups as we look forward to it. And I know I cannot wait to see these teams really battle it out. And again, you think about the stamina. It's been a long day today. It's going to be a very long day tomorrow for whoever moves through that losers bracket. They have to play up to, I think, two matches in, a long gap in between them. So it's a lot that comes into it. It's going to be a true test. What are you made of? Right now, that question extends to just China Dream for right now.
And as they head back into the game, it's really, for me, what's Guagua made of on this Eevee, because this is going to be I think, one of the win conditions. Poppy on this Talus is another win condition. They've got a couple of moments, a couple of champions that can really do it as well. On the other side, Creatives back on Zen. That looks so dangerous the first time he brought it out. I can't wait to see these battles coming through. Running a little bit of the Halloween skin and actually misses them. Left-hand side, one is rotating, and that might be Creatives, who actually finds himself with Poppy, and Blitz Upper actually forces the early Billow, and they both use their movement skills. Just say, we'll take that duel again one more time, but somewhere else.
Those two dudes are not afraid of each other whatsoever. Poppy took a number of those first burning strikes right to his face and said, I'm just going to go right on in. Speaking of going in, Mutu will actually find Guagua, who really needs to show up here on the EV. He needs to have a performance. Mutu is going to do what he does on Buck, and you can see him bouncing right on into Ruckus, who's forced away, and 54% for Na'Vi already on the point.
And they didn't find on the objective that first kind of duel between Poppy and, of course, looking at the side of Creatives, just didn't work out for China Dream, and now they have just no momentum heading into it. They've fallen twice now. That's going to be a Natus Vincere early objective capture. No problem here. Stonekeep looking very good for Navi.
Yeah, I hate to put the pressure on one person, but I really need to see Guagua step up.
Yeah.
I mean, he played okay. He was passable.
Right.
When he played Zen, he did not look so great in map number 1. He needs to really show up here and prove that he belongs here, because right now I'm just not really convinced that Guagua's performance is at the same level that it was 6 months ago.
That's right. That's the thing that makes people say, man, the other roster would have been so mad. That's why it was so difficult to see that not come to fruition. But still, Guagua's got a great chance to prove himself. God knows he did prove himself before. We expect it's possible here. But Mutu with the triple kill, keeping things moving for Na'Vi smoothly as they head to continue on this path to push 2-0.
Just Mutu things, really, when you think about it. I mean,
Kinda.
he's out here by himself, just hanging out in Void Grip, still getting kills. No big deal for Mutu. He's probably still sitting there like a duck on water, looking solid. A minute, 30 seconds though until this payload has to move through. It has broken the base though of China Dream. Through time and space did come out, not really finding much for the side of China Dream. They're gonna need to find something else. And there it is, actually a nice kill onto Mutu, and now finding another onto Faenex is Poppy, who's again been the big backbone of the damage dealers for China Dream.
Almost feels like those are the first 2 kills of the game
Almost.
for China Dream. I'm not sure if they were, but it definitely felt that way. Natus Vincere seemed to have just had everything going their side. And you know what? It comes at a good time because now there's a minute left. Really, a couple more fights, and they can hold on to this, make it a 1-1. But like you said, Guagua needs to step up. So far, finding the left side. Blinks up, shoots one shot, forces the Billow out, finds Creatives here on the backside. He's going to run towards the shield. Another couple of shots from the Broom, but still no kills. There's an Ice Storm, but gets feared. Can't follow up on his own ultimate and goes to the Ice Block, but he may go down here. Except no, Mutu finds 2, and Faenex finds Guagua.
True power did come out very late, and all it is Talus and Genos left alive. This payload might just push here.
Oh, no.
It will be. The Ruckus able to touch just narrowly. He's going to bounce around with that aerial assault, but that pogo stick has only so many charges in it, and UFO will fall away. Mutustina just doing so much work on whatever he plays, and again, we talked so much about Creatives early on, but you can never rule out Mutu.
Yeah, and that's not a good sign. 9-1 on this Buck. He has pretty much found every kill that mattered here in this game, and he's got Torvald with him, and Torvald Buck, not usually a combination you want to let through.
And you're seeing exactly why.
Yeah.
This is flat out. This is just incredible to see Mutu kind of flex between a bunch of different damage dealers. He's looking really solid in his performance versus Entity, and again here.
So expressive.
Yes, it's so much emotion coming across those cheeks. How does he handle it?
Really passionate guy.
Really passionate guy. Spunkki too. He
Yeah.
can't stop smiling.
Oh, I mean, I think Na'Vi, when it comes to me, when you talk about Na'Vi, it's just passion. Just passion on their face. Just expressive kind of facial gestures that remind you of comedians, movie stars. I mean, this is actually more, this could be a movie star, but maybe more of that stolid, that stern look of a villain.
Kind of almost looks like the villain from Die Hard.
He does. Just gotta think of that. Yep. Die Hard.
Love that movie. Great Christmas
He is
movie.
not dying very easily as well.
Very true. Living up to his professional namesake.
Yeah.
As we banter. I mean, so if you're looking, let's put you in the coaching seat right now, Evan, for
Coach
China
Rain Day.
Dream. What do you do against this lineup for Na'Vi?
Well, you need an answer for Mutu. I think the thing is when somebody goes on to a 10 street you realize that something's wrong. That's not the way the game should be played. If someone's ever having this kind of outlier performance, you need to shut that down, even out the playing field, because then you can actually see what your compositions do. If someone is just so enabled, that's not normal Paladins. A 20 streak for one person, that's not normal.
Yeah.
So you've got to somehow turn the tide there. Maybe it is just target prioritization. Maybe it is just having the awareness that, wow, okay, we need to look at the buck now and kind of look at him first rather than sending him 1v1 somewhere or really worrying about when he shows up. And I think Guagua needs to be the guy that really takes a lot more of a command here in this game. Middle of the pack, it's not going to be good enough here for China Dream.
Yeah, when Fernando's your top damage dealer, of course, he's able to do that time and again, but when you have a Taliesin, maybe you want to see more production there. Even a Ruckus, too. Hexafire will actually start things off. Tempest used in response, though, so it actually will be a one-for-one trade. Guagua finding one of them, Unbelievable another, and that's 2 supports actually down, although Guagua once again falls, and Mutu is left to clean up the dishes.
Oh, boy.
Easy pickings.
Yeah, that's just not enough. I mean, I don't think they knew what they were doing. Just too patient, too lackadaisical in terms of deciding that they wanted to attack, where they wanted to attack, who they wanted to throw their energy into. And Natus Vincere now 30% rising. China Dream have about one more opportunity before it slips, and that might have been it.
Yeah, you can't stagger like that flat out. That was just a greedy play from Poppy, and he gets punished for it, as Na'Vi will always consistently do. Now coming back towards the point, Fernando was able to touch. 69% is where it stalls out for the boys in blue. And Na'Vi still finding themselves a lot of low HP pulls in front of them on China Dream, and we'll chase them down as Mutu looking for that, but it's like true power. So here's that focus potentially on Buck, but meanwhile on the point, it's actually both frontliners for China Dream falling.
Not sure they can get there. Okay, it is Guagua. That's a good Ice Storm, and she's going to find the kill. Spunkki, though, finds Guagua back, but Mumo finds one more. Creative's on the objective. I think that may be it. Natus Vincere, grab it. China Dream go down 0-3, and Na'Vi, they can close the set out and end the day here if they just push this within the next 2 minutes.
It's looking solid to do so. They've got itemization on their side. They've got 3 points up. They're looking good. They've got kill streaks still going. Torvald at 20 plus right now on his streaks. Does still have a hyper beam to use.
That's not normal.
It's not normal at all. I mean, especially with somebody who doesn't have any mobility in this kid. You have to find a way to respond to that. Kami does get a kill on Mutu, though, so again, it's you trade one evil for another. It seems to be at the moment, 1 minute and 53 seconds. The payload moving slowly about halfway through its progressions.
And if this continues, it will be Fernando basically 0-4 in this set.
Yeah.
And that is not a good stat line for either of these teams, highly prioritizing this frontliner. Unbelievable with one off the map. Mutu finds another. Guagua getting beat, but who isn't by this Buck here? Triple kill yet again. That's his second triple of the day in this game. Excuse me, on the Buck, and looks like he may not need to go Buck Wild. This is going to be a Natus Vincere win for sure.
Yeah, and there it is just to come out. If Guagua's going to try to touch, he is the ice block. You know, the reprieve coming out, but the Hexafire also being used. So China Dream not giving it up as of yet, but that payload is right on the line of crossing over. Faenex finds himself 2 kills before he falls away, and Mumu actually finds 2 of his own. So again, we're on a little bit of a 2v3 battle going on, and China Dream actually able to sustain themselves just in the nick of time.
Look at this. Natus Vincere, though, able to have 50 seconds left to recap this. Mumo on a 4 streak finds a couple of clutch kills himself. And the thing is, at this point, if Creatives keeps this up, China Dream have only just delayed the inevitable. It still feels that way, that Na'Vi just can't be stopped with this lineup and that they don't have the answers, but Guagua finds 2 kills there. Let's keep on seeing what happens. He's got a touch, and nope, that's the victory. Natus Vincere move on to the next round. China Dream take the loss, and it will be a really, really strong showing from Na'Vi as they go ahead and look to shake hands with the Chinese teams, and everyone clapping here at the end of the day. It's been a long one. It's past midnight here, but it has been an exciting afternoon, evening, and morning.
In that order.
In that order.
As we approach morning.
Yes.
That's what happens. No, I mean, here we are. We're done with the first rounds of this World Championship group stages. We're going to start getting into the knockouts tomorrow, and things are going to be absolutely insane. I fear for anybody that has to go up against this Na'Vi team, specifically when Buck is picked, that was so successful for them in the fall finals, and not many more people play better than Mutu.
And Mutu, he's one for the record books here. When he's on, he's one of the best in the business, and those flick shots are pretty historic.
And they translate here, too.
They really do. They really do. His shotgun can can show off some flicks here, and I think Mutu is able to show off in anything. And, you know, I love the way that MetaPusher described this. He's a silent assassin, but his game speaks louder than anything. And that really is how you would describe Mutu. His game spoke very loud today, and so did Na'Vi. I think that they've definitely put themselves in contention of maybe showing up better than almost anybody today, except maybe NIP for me.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely filled out the application for bus driver on this entire tournament.
Yeah.
They're looking really solid behind the wheel when it's
Very
in their
good.
ballpark. I mean, they have, I think, a very clear path as far as what they need to do and who they're possibly going to be going up against, not only in the winners finals later, but whoever comes out of the losers bracket in Group B. They look just as good as I think that we would ever hope they would.
Now, China Dream as well, of course, heading into tomorrow. It's knockout stages, and they will be playing. We'll see so many of the other teams who've had chances to win and chances to lose, and be able to really see who is going to go home and who is going to continue on here. Of course, that's it for today. I'm Rainday. That's I Hold Shift. Let's take it back to the analyst for one more time before we wrap up the day.
What a game, and it will be Na'Vi that will take it 3-1. China Dream showed some life there, but it was unfortunate for them. They will be taking a trip to the lower bracket. Welcome back to the desk, everyone. It has been, and I have a bottle of water here that shouldn't be, but you know what? It is midnight, so it's like really.
Now you know Golden Boy does in fact drink water.
I do. It's been quite a day. You know, we have been here since 8:45 for some of us, and we've been going on for a long time. We can officially say that we are burning the midnight oil here because it is 12:16 a.m. here in Georgia. So let's talk about this matchup. First and foremost, you had Na'Vi kind of kick things off and caught China Dream off guard with that Zen pick at the end, because it seemed like that's what they were going for. Then we got that weird Cassie pick, and it didn't work out for them.
I know that was one thing that you were actually mentioning throughout game one when we were sitting there, and you kind of like lit up. Like after a little bit, you were like, that wasn't supposed to be Cassie. You knew that the Zen was the idea, and we got to see that actually later on. They go everything the same, except the Zen does kind of make his way into that. And the Cassie, I mean, Poppy was popping off. Like, he was playing really well on the Cassie, but it just wasn't able to do much. Creatives, on the other hand, when he did get the Zen, was able to make a difference with that. And it was one of those things that Na'Vi kind of took it away from them, but it wasn't necessarily a deficit to them to do so.
Yeah, I'd heard a lot of rumors about Poppy and his Zen, but it was actually surprising that when they actually got it, it was ran on Guagua in Game 2, and he looked really strong on it. They showed, like you said, some signs of life, but they went down really early. That Game 2, it was interesting to see them get the draft. We saw that they had a clear idea in Game 1 that Na'Vi read like a book, took it away from them, but then they got what they wanted in Game 2, and it still didn't work out. So it's interesting. I think this Chinese team is going to need a little bit of time to adapt to how the European and North American teams, if they get a chance to play G2 or Renegades, play. And they showed a lot of flexibility. I mean, Poppy played 4 champs in 4 games, and I'm really excited to see what they can do against Space Station tomorrow.
Yeah, and the other fun fact about this is that as soon as we go into Frog Isle, then we started to see some variation coming from the squad, because it was like, hey, you know what, we're going to do the same draft for Game 2, same draft, same result. You ended up taking that hot L. But then you move on into Frog Isle, and then you have Poppy popping off. That's the note that I have in my notebook here, because that Strix was a beast.
Those shots were so good. Like, it was just fun watching to be able to get that, because Frog Isle is one of those areas where, like, Nocturnes can like to run snipers, but we don't get to see it too often. I think you actually, when they were going through it, you went, this is our strat. And you're like, this is, like, you're proud of this. And I like seeing Strix on there. There's a couple of angles I don't think we got to see, but there's some good spots for a sniper hand. We just got to see what they were able to do with that.
Yeah, and lastly, just one last question about Game 4. Why did the solo Torvald work for
I think it did
for them?
so much because Na'Vi had these big bodies, these big health pools with a lot of sustain. They had the Buck, who, I mean, we know his recovery is so good at healing himself up. And then they also had the Zen and the Grok, 2 characters with immunity frames. They have the Ghost Walk with the Grok and the Billow for the Zen. So you don't have front lines, but you have the ability to mitigate damage and burn cooldowns.
We'll see if they continue to bring some more clever strategies tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, we just want to let everyone know that because we went really long today, we're actually going to have a little bit of a later start time tomorrow. We're actually going to be kicking things off at 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. But the Mixer pregame show will take place at 9 a.m. and I believe that will be on Hi-Rez TV. So and just in general, so make sure you guys tune in for that and get up to date. And in case you missed any of the action today, you can always catch the VODs and all that good stuff. But that's going to do it for us here at the desk. It's been a pleasure and an exciting day one of HRX, or at least day one when people came into the venue and got to watch some Paladins play some Battlegrounds, play some Bot Smashers. It's been awesome in the expo hall. But for now, we're going to send it over to Vox, who has a member of Na'Vi down at the floor to close things out.
I certainly do. Thank you so much, Golden Boy. For the last time today, I am joined by none other than the returning HRX finalist. It is unbelievable. How are you doing, and how do you feel after that victory versus China Dream?
It's been a really long day. I'm really tired, but we won, and that's all I really wanted from today, so I'm happy.
Pretty much, and you're thrilled with that, as I'm sure everybody else is at home. And quick shout out to my European friends. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are up bright and early and ready for the day ahead of you, as you will be tomorrow, as we will see more and more matches come through. Now, you did encounter a little bit of resistance during that set on the Frog Isle game specifically. I want to talk to you about that. So what went wrong there for you? You look so confident in games 1 and 2.
Well, we really gained a lot of confidence from game 1, so we thought we might try something that we have practiced before that has worked decently well, but China was prepared for it, which was hard to deal with, and they actually beat us with their draft, so well played for them.
They're prepared for the Sky pick, and they had a good few drafts up their sleeve. Now, moving on with the tournament specifically, you've now taken out China Dream. You might see them again if they make it through the losers bracket, but are there any matchups coming up that you know about which you're either excited or concerned about?
It has to be NIP. We have practiced against them a lot with scrims, and we know they're really strong and have the potential to win this tournament. But at the end of the day, we believe we are the better players, and it's going to be us in the finals, and we're going to beat them.
Very confident words here then from Unbelievable. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you everybody here who may be left currently at the venue, but also who have been watching all the way through at home via various different social media platforms. It has been an absolute pleasure to put on this day one of the public broadcast for you. We'll see you back again tomorrow. There's plenty more Paladins action. We'll have a special pre-game morning show with some sneak peeks at some Battlegrounds action, so make sure you tune in for that as well. My name's been Hi-Rez Vox. We'll see you back again tomorrow.
But I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all. But why didn't you call? Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Always something new.